Hi, I'm Becky Railwark, Executive Director with the Beaver Watershed Alliance, and we're here today to look at a low-impact development project going in here at Hickory Creek Park here in Lowell. And this project is part of a grant with the U.S. EPA and the Arkansas Department of Natural Resources. So we want to thank them for the funding to help put this project together. And the reason for this low-impact development project is to install 3 parking lots in the Beaver Lake watershed that demonstrate non-point source runoff mitigation. So when it rains, water runs across our hard surfaces, our parking lots, our roofs, things like that, and can pick up contaminants or what we call non-point source pollutants such as sediment, phosphorus or nitrogen, fertilizers and pesticides included as well, and they can take that right to a nearby waterway. So any way we can slow down that rain runoff or soak in some of that non-point source pollution, that helps keep our local waterways clean, especially Beaver Lake. It's our drinking water source for 1 in 6 Arkansans here in Northwest Arkansas and surrounding areas. So we're really happy to be here today to talk about this project. We have Steep Creek with us. They have been hired to manage and install this project.
We're excited to be here next to Beaver Lake, one of the main drinking water sources here in Arkansas, working on a low impact development project. It really fits our goal as a company well, which is building resilience today for a more sustainable tomorrow. And we feel like this project does that. It allows for anything that's contaminants on the surface. When we get a rainfall event, it washes. Typically before this project, it would wash directly into this body of water behind us, which has an impact, can increase drinking water filtration cost and treating that drinking water. It also can have an impact to recreational activities by increasing sediment loads that can lower the capacity of the lake over time. So through this process, we're able to slow the water down through this filtration. We're also able to get some of those things, the bad things, out of it, allow it to settle in a basin here next to the lake, and that also provides some filtration. And then eventually that water will make its way into Beaver Lake. This provides space and gaps and voids through the pervious Paver system for that water to filter down and then slow down and eventually make its way into the sediment basin here next to the lake. As opposed to a more traditional asphalt or concrete surface, which was here previously, which would not allow for any type of surface water infiltration, it would just run directly into the lake. So we're really proud of this project and excited to work and team up with the Beaver Watershed Alliance on a project that benefits natural resources and people.
So this part of the project, the bioretention pond, is kind of built to store the water coming from our permeable pavers upstream here. And its really idea is to capture the water, slow it down, and filtrate it out a little bit. We've got some petroleum degrading plants down in the bottom that will kind of filter out some of the petroleum that's coming from the parking lot, from the boats and vehicles. And then using just all native plants, promoting pollinator habitat, especially butterflies and some of the songbirds we have. This year this might not be much as far as blooms, but next year this should be looking pretty good, have a lot of flowering stems, and we're losing a lot of our pollinator habitat, and so by having these small pockets of nectar resources for our all of our butterflies, including the monarch butterfly, the one everyone knows about. Really important to provide the monarchs with enough resources in the fall to make their way back south so they can overwinter and migrate.
So one thing for us as a company is really important is working on projects that do really 2 things. First, we'll have some type of positive impact to natural resources. Number 2, has a benefit to people, and this project really does that. And through those projects, there's extra steps to take to ensure that you're not contributing to some of the issues while you're in construction mode. And so one of those, which is very important, is just watching the weather forecast and knowing when to open up a section of the project that if we did get a rainfall event, it could have a negative impact due to runoff and sediment while under construction. And there's other things you can do to supplement that, such as a using silt fencing, which we used around our sediment basin, really the lowest point on the project, where if you did have runoff, that dirt, that sediment, those pollutants would be trapped there next to that buried sediment plastic, which is basically just a hard back mesh with plastic that's trenched into the ground and really doesn't allow for any place for that sediment to go. The more cost effective these projects are, the more likely they're to be duplicated in other places, which is the ideal scenario. So part of that process involved trying to figure out which paver system would accomplish that goal. So we ended up selecting this paver system because the cost comparison when looking at other surface type materials such as concrete and asphalt is very close. It does require some additional cost and upfront cost associated with the under drain and the base work for the paving system, but as far as its driving surface, its durability, the way heavy vehicles can also travel on the paving system just like asphalt and concrete, it's all very comparable.
My name is Coulter Kroll. I'm the District Sales Manager for Midwest Block and Brick here in Northwest Arkansas and Northeast Oklahoma. And we help provide the permeable pavers for the Hickory Creek watershed improvements in conjunction with the Beaver Shed Water Alliance. In doing so, we want to remove a lot of the total suspended solids and take out some of the nitrogen and phosphorus, and the permeable interlocking concrete pavements, or PICP, that were used on the Hickory Creek project provide all of those factors, or all those benefits. So the paver itself is a 2.5 inch thick piece of concrete. It's about a 10,000 psi paver or concrete block. The paver itself doesn't permeate any water, but the system is what provides the benefits of water quality to the lake. So what happens is in between the paver, or in between the concrete block, there is a joint that has open graded aggregates and the total suspended solids, so all of the silts and the cigarette butts and the different things like that sheet flow across the asphalt, go into those joints, and they get trapped right on the top. So about the top 1.5 inches is what filters out all of those suspended solids before they go into the water retention system below the surface of the pavers, and then ultimately flow into the lake. So the water that you and I are drinking out of the Beaver Lake is filtered basically before it gets into the lake. The design considerations that we worked through with Craft and Atoll on the Hickory Creek project were many. Considerations for structural capacity, considerations for water quality to be treated, and total water volume that needed to be stored and held and cooled down before the water exited into the lake. The sizing requirements necessary for the structural capacity, keep in mind there's a lot of boat traffic, a lot of truck traffic, a lot of turning and twisting of tires that go across, so a lot of people think that the concrete block pavements will not handle that as well as the asphalt, but they're both flexible pavement systems. And actually the concrete product is a lot longer life cycle cost, a lot lower than it is for the asphalt. You're talking about 11,000 psi paver or piece of concrete, to where it's going to give you a 40-year life cycle before it needs to be replaced, where asphalt is probably most likely in 20 years going to need to be replaced fully. Another benefit of the concrete paver itself is that it's not dumping it doesn't have the phosphates and the chemicals that are in the asphalt tars that in the summer they heat up, and when it gets rained on, all of those phosphates and all of those chemicals go into our drinking water. So using the permeable concrete pavement, that helped out a lot. Sizing requirements for total volume, imagine the contributing drainage area, everything coming off of the parking lot. How big does it need to be? How deep does it need to be to hold on to that water in time to get it cooled down before it exits into the lake? People think that permeable interlocking concrete pavements are going to be extremely expensive, but when compared to the normal conveyance or other forms or other systems of underground stormwater storage, when you take everything into consideration and the life cycle cost analysis, the permeable interlocking concrete pavements most of the time will save the private developer money over those other systems.
So I'm Justin Shockley. I own 4G Paving. We're primarily a mechanical installation company for permeable interlocking concrete pavements. We're situated here in Springdale, Arkansas, and we work a lot in Nashville, Tennessee, in the low impact development and all over the country. Permeable interlocking concrete pavements have become more prominent here in northwest Arkansas, which is fantastic. And a lot of the notion when people think of concrete pavers is that it's extremely slow and it's very expensive. And since we install everything mechanically, we reduce the cost down significantly to where we're right up there on the side of conventional systems and asphalt and concrete. We can move at a very high rate of speed on large-scale commercial projects, and we can actually handle the maintenance on it after installation is complete as well. And the biggest benefit of mechanical install is the ability to run extremely large areas on very tight planes tolerance-wise, and also a very short time frame, so we can keep up with construction timelines.
This is in Northwest Arkansas. This is a system that is not used a lot and not incorporated into projects. But with our background and history and helping the sell with the systems approach, you can contact Midwest Block and Brick. We can help work through all of the sizing and design questions that you may have about the permeable interlocking concrete pavements.
So we just really appreciate this opportunity to install this demonstration project to help provide education for the public on why these projects are important for watershed health, but also to help keep Beaver Lake clean and healthy.